For the first time since taking office last year, President Park Geun-hye invited the floor leaders of the ruling and opposition parties to the presidential office. This meeting is significant, with by-elections on July 30th fast approaching, and as it took place in the same week when parliamentary confirmation hearings for cabinet nominees were held. There was a heated debate between ruling and opposition party lawmakers at the confirmation hearings, particularly the ones on July 8th for Choi Kyung-hwan, nominee for Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, and for Kim Hee-jung, nominee for Minister of Gender Equality and Family. On July 9th, Education Minister-designate Kim Myung-soo appeared before Parliament, and the next day it was nominee for Culture Minister Chung Sung-gun's turn. Arirang News' National Assembly correspondent Ji Myung-kil reported on this busy week in politics. There's a high possibility that the free trade agreement between South Korea and China will be signed before the year's end, based on Chinese President Xi Jinping's recent visit to Korea. Reporter Connie Kim gave us a forecast of how economic cooperation between the two countries will strengthen. In the past, money and capital used to flow from Korea to China, but things have changed recently. China used to be a key production base and market for Korean companies, but now through investment, it is a place where consumption and job creation are picking up. Experts say that the era of ChiKorea has begun, as the two countries are building strategic partnerships across all economic sectors. Japan is dealing with the aftermath of Typhoon Neoguri. Tens of thousands of people were urged to evacuate the path of the powerful storm. As of July 9th, 2 people had died in Okinawa and its neighboring regions, and about 24 others had been injured. Typhoon Neoguri passed through Okinawa and was headed for the Japanese mainland, which braced for the worst. Typhoon Neoguri moved in a northeasterly direction, and a lot of damage was reported on Jeju Island, which felt the effects of the typhoon. It was a tense few days. Shin Se-min reported on the typhoon in detail. It's late in the evening, and there's a lot of action going on in the studio. Reporter Yoo Li-an is preparing for her in-depth appearance at 10 p.m.
Hello and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sean Lim.
And I'm Kang Chiri. Thanks for joining us tonight.
The headline news has gone out, and now it's Li-an's turn.
Well, take a look around these days and you'll see prominent positions in society held by non-ethnic Koreans.
How big is the foreign population in Korea?
Well, the number of foreign residents have been rising consistently since the past few years, and it actually surpassed 1.56 million.
Out of the total Korean population, 3.1% are foreign residents, and Li-an reports on their current living situation.
I came across some statistics on the number of foreign residents in Korea recently, and I gave it a second thought and thought it'd be interesting to actually blow this up and really look into whether the lives of the foreign residents has also improved in line with the growth in population. So that got me curious, and so I decided to do this story.
On the day before her report, Li-an is wondering how she can cover everything she wants to emphasize.
그래서 100명 중에 3명 외국인 시대가 왔는데 이들이 삶의 환경이 어떤지 알아보는 인덱스인 거죠.
She begins a heated discussion with the news director about the direction of her article. A better story can be realized through the exchange of opinions.
그러니까 그런 걸 대응하기 위해서는 좀 외국인들이 거주자 환경을 더 개선해 주는 것도 중요한 거잖아요. 근로 환경도 개선해 주는 것도 인식하는 게 좀 되게 좀 바이어스 있으니까 그런 것도 오버컴 해야죠. 알겠어요.
Now she begins organizing her schedule so that she can decide on not only who she will interview, but when and where as well. Next morning, Li-an visits a district known for its multiculturalism in Ansan City in Gyeonggi-do Province.
많이 유입되면서 자연스레 생긴 도시래요. 아예 여기는 외국인 거주 지역에 정부가 지정을 해줘.
Signs in different languages stand out. It seems a bit different from Itaewon, where foreigners often meet up and where there are many restaurants serving the cuisine of foreign countries. Korean and non-Korean residents live together in this multicultural community. Li-an wanted to meet those foreign residents and hear their stories. However, the location was different from her expectations.
외국인들 더 찍어 인터뷰를 하려고 아니면?
아니요, 스케치가 필요할 것 같아서 패키지에 스케치.
많이 안 찍어.
Li-an asked that a lot of video footage that shows foreign residents and the overall atmosphere be filmed. She has decided to change the angle of her article.
I wanted to visit the multi-ethnic, multicultural village near Seoul and really create a picture of how they were living and how diverse it is there and how people are getting along, and then kind of end with like what kind of improvements could be made. But then when I actually went there, I saw what caught my eye was that how not taken care of the city itself was, how the multicultural, the so-called borderless village was really not so clean, and it wasn't really a good environment for these foreign residents to live in. And so I kind of decided to then change my angle completely, actually, to focus on the living conditions for these foreign residents, and then focus, of course, about the education part as well for the immigrant children.
Li-an begins her interviews with foreign residents.
안녕하세요. 다문화 가정 관련해서 혹시 간략하게 인터뷰 가능하실까요? 아무튼 알겠습니다. 네.
She checks out an Indian restaurant that's popular in the district.
혹시 인터뷰 가능하세요? 저희 불편한 거 있는지 한국 어떻게 사는
It looks like foreign residents do not want to talk.
아니 괜찮아. 아빠 우리 앞에 가게까지 갔는데 난 그 보고서 내가 왔어요.
After being rejected time and time again, a kind person approaches Li-an's crew. The man looks like he has a lot to say.
여기서 여기 서서 잠시만. 한국 국적 됐고 원래는 어디서 오신 거예요?
스리랑카.
스리랑카에서. 그럼 지금 여기 어떤 일 하시는 그냥 공장 아니면 여기 식당?
있어요.
사업하고 있으세요? 저보고 얘기하시면 돼요. 아까 또 주말에 여기 되게 불편하시다 그랬잖아요. 어떤 것이 불편해 다시 말씀해 주실래요?
주말에 거기 외국 사람도 한국 사람도 엄청 많이 와요. 근데 여기 시내에서 지금 길을 예쁘게 만들어 있어요. 근데 관리 못하는 거 있어요. 왜냐면 사람 가는 길 있잖아요. 그 라인도 지금 물건 팔고 차 가는 거 길이 있어요. 여기도 물건 팔고 사람 왔다 갔다 너무 힘들어 불편해요.
그 길거리 상점 때문에 그래요. 걷기가 너무 힘들어요.
사람 없어요. 길 없어요.
길이 제대로 안 돼 있어서. 알겠습니다. 다 괜찮은 것 같은데요. 정선 파스.
The interview comes to an end, and Li-an decides to film her stand-up.
여기 길거리에서 하고 가면 될 것 같아요.
오케이.
예?
Once the location is set, she begins rehearsing her lines. Li-an does her reporting at a fast pace.
내용은 이렇게 북적거리는 도시가 활성화됐다 이런 얘긴데 넓게 가야지 뒤에 사람들이 많이 보여요?
She double-checks the details.
Southeast Asian workers began arriving in the mid-1990s to seek their fortunes in local factories, giving birth to this bustling multicultural village.
The next location Li-an visits is a migrant community service center in Ansan. She wanted to listen to the problems foreign residents have and hear the suggestions for improvements.
외국인 거주자 얘기예요, 저희.
외국인
다문화
거주자
가정도 포함을 한. 그 외국인 거주자들이 좀 어떤 불편함을 제일 많이 호소하는 편인가요?
외국인 근로자뿐만 아니고 다문화 가족 모두가 가장 큰 불편이 언어 문제입니다. 언어가 모르기 때문에 어떤 기본적인 정보도 제대로 습득 못하고 또 법률도 어떤 법규 같은 경우도 정보라든지 이런 게 전혀 습득이 안 되기 때문에 그런 불편이 가장 큽니다.
이제 근로자들 같은 경우는 일을 하면서 좀 어떤 불편함을 겪는지.
근데 지금 3년 단위로 계약을 하고 들어오고 있거든요. 근데 작업 환경도 나쁘고 주거 여건도 나쁜 그런 공장에서 근무하는 근로자들은 바꾸고 싶거든요. 그렇지만 3년 동안 못 바꿉니다. 어떤 사업주가 동의 안 해주면은. 지금은 그 사람들이 들어와가지고 3년 치료 기간 동안 3번을 바꿀 수가 있거든요. 그것은 사업주가 신청할 때만 가능합니다. 근데 한 번 정도는 본인이 원하면은 3번 중에 한 번 정도는 그렇게 사업장을 바꿔줄 수 있는 그런 제도 보완이 좀 필요하다고 봅니다.
Li-an is collecting information she hadn't previously known about.
기초 산업의 어떤 산업 인력이 부족해가지고 발생하는 문제, 이거는 국가에서 인력을 수입한 거거든요.
네.
앞으로도 해야 할 일이 너무 많습니다. 저 밖에 보면은 지금 오늘은 찍지만은 한 200명 정도가 사람들이 모여 있습니다. 그러니까 아침에 일자리를 놨다가 못 구하면 저기 하는 문제예요. 그러니까 못 구하면 여기 다 모여 있는 거. 집에 가야 저기 방 2평, 3평에 몇 명이 사는 거니까 갑갑하잖아요. 갈 데가 없으니까 여기 있거든요. 저 사람들은 공간 문제고.
When I talked to the director at the community center, he says there's so much demand by the foreign residents who want to learn Korean, but there's just lack of resources and lack of funding to do so. Like about 65,000 foreign residents are there, but he said last year only 4,000 were able to receive Korean education there. So I think it's just surprising that besides the prejudice and stereotype and the rights issues that we are very familiar with, just the number one thing that they really need is just the language problem, and it was just surprising that there isn't much being done to really help them.
Li-an now heads over to the Ansan Global Multicultural Center. Various measures concerning multicultural families are implemented at this center.
그 중국어 수업 듣는 제일 이유가 그냥 모국어를 잊지 않게 하려고 하는 건가요?
엄마들이? 그렇죠.
네, 그런 거예요?
이제 엄마들이 자기네들이랑 같이
대화 소통하고, 네트워크도 하고. 네. 여기서 하는 이렇게 지원해주는 것 중에서 어떤 것들이 제일 이제 다문화 가정이나 외국인 거주자들이 제일 관심을 많이 보이고 있는 거예요? 좀.
한국어 교육이 한 센터 이용이 50% 정도 된다고 보시면 되고, 나머지가 이제 가족 지원 프로그램인데요.
네.
요리는 좀 저희가 모집이 용이해요.
한국 사회 적응하기 힘들어서 그런 걸 좀 상담하러 오는 외국인도
있죠.
또 많나요?
네, 저희는 상담 선생님들이 2분 계시죠. 경제적인 문제, 고부 갈등, 서로 취업과 관련된 거 그런 거.
알겠습니다.
There's a Chinese language class designed for children from multicultural families. Li-an heads over to the classroom. Chinese classes are held every other day at 4 in the afternoon. The atmosphere is different from the market where Li-an met foreign residents. The children are fluent in Korean and they look just like Korean kids, but the children experience difficulties because they were born into multicultural families. The filming of the Chinese class is done, but Li-an sits in the corner of the room until the class comes to an end.
Personally, I thought it was just unfortunate that these kids who are not different from any other Korean kid, to be honest, have to be treated differently just because they have a mother from a different country. And sitting there, I was trying to come up with different types of questions that I wanted to ask to the migrant mother. And one question that I had in mind was the reason that they decided to teach their children Chinese is because that they feared that their children may never be able to really adapt to Korean society later on, and felt like they wanted to give them the opportunity to go back to their home country and thrive there. And I did end up asking that question to one of the migrant mothers, but she did say that she hadn't thought about that yet. But just sitting there, just kind of thinking on my own what life it's like for these Chinese mothers and also their children in the future.
After the class, Li-an decides to hear the story of a woman who married into a Korean family and is living here.
저희가 이제 뉴스 취재 나왔거든요. 다문화 가정 관련해서. 그래서 그냥 편안하게 말씀해 주시면 되거든요.
The Chinese class teacher provided help interviewing the migrant mother who isn't fluent in Korean.
아이들 조금 서투시면 중국어로 하시고 그냥 이렇게 통역해 주셔도 될 것 같긴 한데 나중에 한국에서 애 키울 때 다문화 가정에 대한 약간 한국 인식이 아직은 조금 차별하고 약간 그런 게 있잖아요. 그런 거에 대한 혹시 걱정이 드는지 우리 애가 한국 사회에서 잘 적응해서 나중에 꿈을 키울 수 있을 것 같은지.
답변은 요 기자를 보고 해주시면 될 것 같아요.
说你妈妈是中国人呢，这也帮你的。怕在学校被其他的孩子欺负，然后再一个就是其他的，倒没有什么，主要就是语言不太通。
외국인으로서 한국에 사는 게 특히 지금 아이는 학교 다니기 때문에 좀 그런 걱정이 있어요. 엄마가 중국인이라 아이들한테 왕따 당할까 봐요. 엄마가 중국인이라 놀릴까 봐요. 그런 걱정이 있어요. 같이 놀아주지 않고.
그러면 이제 한국은 좀 교육 면에서 되게 경쟁이 되게 치열하잖아요. 그래서 좀 그런 과외를 시켜야 된다거나 그런 거에 대한 부담감을 좀 많이 느끼는지.
学制是一上午，然后下午就是不跟中国一样，就是要送学院啥的。要是送的多的话，就比较有点负担。
학교에서 오전 한 12시쯤에 수업 끝나잖아요. 그래서 대부분 다 학원 보내야 되고 많이 보낼 수 없어요. 부담이 돼요.
네. 그렇게까지만 하면 될 것 같아요. 네, 감사합니다. 갑자기 하셔서 당황스러웠어요. 너무 죄송해요. 그 뭐지 영어로.
The news coverage took all day, but it finally comes to an end. What makes us happy? Some may answer money, or a strong education, or a successful education. But isn't living a harmonious life with your loved ones in a place where basic human rights are guaranteed the ideal? Through today's stories, we got to see reporter Yoo Li-an listen to the hopes, dreams, and concerns of her interviewees, all of whom simply want to lead happy and healthy lives.
I want to shine the light on the migrant workers themselves because they do take up the biggest proportion of the foreign residents here. And when I did talk to the director of the community centers there, he said these people could potentially become huge building blocks of our Korean economy, but because of the language problems and the human rights abuses that they get, they only stay for the 3-year contracts that they do, and they tend to leave and they tend to go back to their own country. And I think it'd be interesting to focus on their lives and what kind of treatment they're getting, and just to see what type of thing they want to say for themselves as well.
Industry insiders in Seoul are calling it an earnings shock.
Today we are talking about a very important topic, that is Samsung Electronics' new challenges. They have their data have shown that their overall revenue and as well as operating profit for the second quarter this year has dropped. For Korean economy, Samsung Group itself and Samsung Electronics, their sales and profit is so important for the national economy. Every morning what I do is I talk to Connie, the anchor woman. I suggest usually an idea. This is what we should talk about today, and then she approves. That's how we decide on the topic.
I don't know. It shouldn't be good news that, I mean, you don't have to be an expert to know that Samsung is not doing well, because its estimates say that its quarterly profit declined by 25%. So that's a pretty big number, right?
The thing is, this is something that a lot of people have been afraid about, and kind of anticipating for quite some time about downturn in Samsung. And finally, we have it. So I don't think this is a real big surprise for everybody. But talking about why this is happening and what it means for the future actually is a big point to discuss.
Do you think it has something to do with the entire global smartphone market?
Actually, it has reasons everywhere pretty much. The global smartphone market itself has a lot of factors. And also there are other financial strategy that's involved for Samsung.
So for those, I don't know, iPhone fans out there, should they be cheering or?
Samsung's seeming trouble does not necessarily mean that they have great future there, because what great future for Apple fan means Apple's new product coming up, exciting stuff coming up. That's not happening as far as we know. So this is not something that should be cheering about.
As for tablet PCs, I think in a way Samsung is beginning to realize that tablet PCs don't sell as well as smartphones anymore.
Right. The smartphones are getting bigger in terms of screen size, those people who prefer larger screens, and they get that through the smartphone. So the diminishing demand for the tablet PCs.
But then again, really, Samsung is facing another challenge because remember iPhones, Apple used to be very, very firm about its size not changing from the small size.
Right.
But then after Steve Jobs passed away, Apple's iPhones are getting bigger.
Right, exactly. I mean, just following the trend that has been opened by or being led by Samsung and all that. So I don't think the separation of, on one hand, the smartphones remaining small and then, you know, the tablet PCs keeping their own sphere in a way, it's not going to be a scenario that will hold up.
Right. The trend is that there will be convergence, and somewhere in the middle, I think tablet PCs getting smaller, smartphones getting bigger, and somewhere along the middle they'll meet halfway.
And those people who prefer like a smaller and like what do you call it, portable stuff, they'll go with the
smartwatch.
Watch wearables.
Right. Well, we will continue our discussion downstairs.
Okay.
And I'll be seeing you in a little bit.
See you later.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes we do, sometimes we won't get to. When we don't have the chance to talk for a long time in the morning, we do briefly talk about what we'll be talking about, if I have any curiosities, if he wants to make any revisions to anything. Yeah, we discuss it upstairs. Now, Samsung Electronics forecasting 25% drop in profit for the second quarter due to a slowdown in the smartphone market and a strong Korean currency. Dr. Kim, it's probably not an overstatement that Samsung is one of the big pillars of the Korean economy.
Disagreement between the pessimists on one hand and the optimists on the other. I think we need more time to sort them out. They really need to create a new one. And that's difficult.
Right, I think that many have said that Apple is known for.
You give your very best, and often you're not happy and satisfied with what you have done, but you should be just glad that you gave your own, very own best. And sometimes you get excited about how you've done it. So there are a lot of common things between life in general and then broadcasting on the other hand. So that's why I love doing this.